So, real quick, I could tell them they could start building in April, but that's reality. They wouldn't be doing any, from the rezone, it would be done in April.
If we stay on schedule for a March meeting and an April 3rd, second city council.
So that we couldn't get approval from DNR for their water line before now and then anyway.
We would have to confirm with Andrew.
I know that.
Sure.
Okay.
You guys ready?
Yeah, ready to go.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. It's a special work session regarding the comprehensive plan, and we will turn it over to Ms. Haynes.
Thank you. First of all, good evening, and thank you all for joining us this evening. I know that we had a rescheduled from last Tuesday because of inclement weather, so I'm happy to see a great turnout tonight on a special night. Tonight, my peers and I are going to talk with you about comprehensive plans. More specifically, we're going to talk to you about the city's comprehensive plan update and our plan to grow together. The update to the city's comprehensive plan is a collaborative effort amongst the City Council, the Mayor, the Planning and Zoning Commission, city leadership, the project team, consultants, and the community. Our goal is to present you with a comprehensive plan update that is an actionable public policy document for the facilitation of growth within our community in a manner consistent with the city's mission, vision, and values. City leadership and staff will use the updated comprehensive plan in the execution of these public policy decisions. Comprehensive plans represent long-term visions for the community. They guide public policy decisions regarding land use, recreational amenities, transportation networks, and municipal utility infrastructure. This slide is apparently a little bit skewed. I'm hoping you can still read it. The city's comprehensive plan will assist the community in formulating, again, actionable public policy decisions that are consistent with the public interest. This plan will identify opportunities to preserve and enhance present advantages for the community, identify opportunities to overcome present disadvantages in our community, encourage the most appropriate use of land and water resources, and to develop policies that effectively manage future discrepancies in the use of land and development in our community. This coherent plan will allow the city to effectively develop and implement public policy that will preserve, promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, appearance, and general welfare for those living, working, and playing in our community. The development of the plan will be data-driven. The plan will contain 3 elements: the planning element, the municipal utility element, and the parks element, each containing multiple sub-elements which will work in harmony with one another in a singular, actionable public policy document. The city's current comprehensive plan, adopted almost 30 years ago in 1988, contains fragmented components which were never integrated with one another, leaving the city with a fragmented plan that does not present an accurate, comprehensive view of the city or provide a mechanism for the city to develop good public policy. The planning element contains 3 market studies. The planning element contains three market studies, including a housing element, a retail market study, industry market study, 3 infrastructure studies, including a transportation infrastructure study, stormwater study, and data networking study, as well as a general demographic study. The demographic study will include the identification of future population growth, identification of current and future household characteristics affecting land use and growth patterns, and physical and environmental barriers to development in our community. The planning element will include recommendations concerning the preservation of sensitive or vulnerable community environmental resources, recommendations for the future growth patterns for our community, and best practices for managed growth. It will also include an updated future land use map, also known as the flume. The municipal utility element consists of 2 sub-elements: the water and the sanitary sewer The water sub-element consists of 13 tasks, while the sanitary sewer contains 11 sub-elements. These tasks include project management and coordination, resource documents and data review, facilities inventory, capital improvement plans, master reports, stakeholder involvement, policy presentation, and plan adoption, as well as multiple other specific tasks to both the water and sanitary sewer utility systems. The parks element contains 6 tasks, including appraisal of existing resources, assessment of community needs, correlation of assessed needs to the community resources, an action plan, expenditure analysis, and final product. The comprehensive plan consists of multiple phases and components, including the pre-planning, which is what we've been in up until this point, or up until the award of contracts in the next several weeks. The award of contracts and project scheduling, which is the next major phase that we'll be going through. Data collection, which is actually the biggest phase of the product, or the project. And the writing and assembly of the plan, presentation of the plan to both council and the commission and the community, and an implementation plan later on. The council will be presented with multiple recommendations for award of contracts. That's actually coming up next week for the municipal utility and parks element. Next week, with final recommendation for award of contracts for the planning sub-elements in early March. The project team, I'm happy to see most of our project team here this evening. In consultation with the project's consultants, we'll be working to establish a projected schedule in the next 3 or 4 weeks, which will be presented to the city council at a later date. Hopefully we're shooting for around March 6th for that presentation. Once contracts have been awarded, the consultants will begin work on their specific components of the project, while simultaneously the project team and staff will begin working on several sub-elements, including the current inventory of land uses within the city, and then also the demographic study. The Republic City Council, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the community will receive regular updates on the project through multiple points in the project, also including multiple mediums. We have a new project website that will be rolling out on March 1st. We will be doing monthly updating to the City Council, both presentations and also through the administrator's report, through our social media channels, and then public presentations. We'll be setting those dates also in the next several weeks. The project itself will have numerous opportunities for the community to be involved. That's a really important component of a comprehensive plan update. So we will be working closely with our consultants and the council to determine the best methods to get public involvement. Some of the ideas that we've had so far are different types of engagement, both through our social media channels, our new website, also workshops, open house type events that we can do throughout the next 6 to 12 months in our community. So any great ideas for those? I know there's a lot of different methods for engaging the community. We are open to any of those ideas, and we'll certainly reach out to our consultant team and the council and the Planning and Zoning Commission to participate in those. You all will be one of our biggest advocates for this project, and we're certainly excited to be going forward with this project. So once the project is complete, it will be a comprehensive compilation of data. Again, this is a very data-driven project through the 3 different elements: the planning, the municipal utility, and the parks element, and then the various infrastructure and market studies that are also components of the project. The community, citizens, and stakeholder input and recommendations for the development of this plan, again, will present you with an actionable public policy document consistent with the city's mission, vision, and values. The plan itself, again, is going to be a public policy document that is actionable. The City Council, the Planning and Zoning Commission, city leadership, and city staff will use this document in the implementation of the city's mission, vision, and values. as the city continues to grow together. And I will turn it over to Mr. Tyson.
So the last time that we discussed this, the discussion for at least this planning element, the land use planning, housing, economic development, we were talking about hiring consultants to assist with that. And we, like we said, we went out to solicit proposals and qualifications from consultants, and it became very apparent upon reviewing those proposals that although there were some firms that were highly qualified, that was not the best route for us to take. Part of the reason for that was this is not having updated the plan for so long, this is obviously a very important exercise for the city right now, a very important process for us to go through. And for us to hand that off to a consultant to do on our behalf under these particular circumstances, I believe was probably a mistake. I would liken it to practicing one team all week long and then putting a different team in come game time. This is not a good idea. And I think that's where we probably would have ended up if we had let the consultants sort of take the reins on this, because I think that's probably what the consultants wanted to do. Like I said, it's not anything against the firms that gave us proposals and gave us their qualifications, but this puts us in a position to ensure that the resources we put toward this, we're going to get the most benefit from, the most yield from. So having internal staff more involved in a lot of these details, I believe, puts us in the best position for long-term success. Having the people that are actually going to implement it be the most involved in the actual development of it. So that being the case, what we have decided to do is to not go with that particular proposal. That proposal came in at $171,000 for the firm that was selected in order to do some of the tasks that Karen was just describing. Some of the reason for not going in that direction and not expending that amount of funds was, I think we'll get better vision and mission alignment if we do it ourselves than if we chose a consultant. Not that they wouldn't be interested in what our vision or our mission is, but they're not going to be as interested as we will be. I think we get more interest in long-term outcomes. Again, that consultant, not anything against them, but they're not going to be as interested. They're there to do some work, and then they're going to be on to the next plan. One of the things they told us was, we did a plan in 2015, and we won this real prestigious award for it in 2016. That, to me, told me everything I needed to know. How do you win an award for a plan that soon after it's done? Or what are you awarding? That it looks cool? The reward for this plan will be 30 years from now. That's when we'll know if this was a good plan or not, or whether this was effective or not. So I think we'll have more interest in long-term outcomes if we do it ourselves, a higher probability of desirable results since we'll be the ones directing it. We'll know where it's going and it'll go where we want it to go. And I believe it'll be more efficient and less expensive overall. Though we're proposing to expend more funds than we originally thought, it's still going to be less expensive than if we were to go with that particular consultant. So here's what the budget looks like not going with a consultant. They wanted $171,000 to do the work for us. I believe that we can get it done for a little over $96,000. And what that entails is we will still use some consultants, but we will only use consultants for those tasks that we are absolutely not equipped to do ourselves. The things that we don't have the technical expertise or capability to do, we will still get some consultants to do those things for us, and those are going to be the public opinion survey and those 3 market studies. There are people out there that are much better equipped than us to get into these details and tell us what is the market doing in each one of these areas and to conduct this sort of statistical analysis. I think it's less expensive this way if we have them do it than to try to do it ourselves. I think we'll get a better product. And then the last thing that goes into that 96.4 is getting another contract position in the planning department. The staff over there right now, we have 40 hours of work every week as it is, not including the comp plan. So for us not to use the consultant and to take on that additional task ourselves is unfeasible unless we bring in some relief. And so our current intern, Chris Tabor, he's been with us for probably maybe 6 months now. He's already very familiar with the project itself. He's already invested in the vision and the mission of this organization. We won't have to acclimate him to the department or to the organization or to the city. He can jump right in this contract and help us hit the ground running. So that's going to be the recommendation you'll see on the agenda tonight. You probably already noticed that Chris's contract appears on there as a resolution, and so that's sort of where we're going on this particular element, is do more of it ourselves. I think we save money, and again, I think we get a much better outcome.
Thanks, sir. I will give you a little update on the water and wastewater elements of this plan. I think they stuck me in the middle so I can remove all the sticker shock from the other ones. What we expect out of the elements of the water and wastewater plans, it's a way for us to prioritize our maintenance to make sure that we don't put, like, for lack of a better term, pipe in the ground where it doesn't belong. To know where we're going in the future will save us from putting a lift station in the wrong place, a wastewater plant in the wrong place.
Careful.
Again.
At the right time for the right reason. How about that?
There you go, buddy. This is expensive.
Also, what's important too is that we can evaluate new growth and development and what impact that will have on our system as they are today. So the models that we'll get from these two plans will allow us to input data about a new development and see how that will affect our system, how it will affect our water supply or our wastewater treatment facilities. Just briefly to go over the budget history, in 2017 there was $150,000 not expended for I&I study. In 2018, the original plan was another $110,000 for I&I, $100,000 for engineering fees for the wastewater, and $100,000 in engineering fees for the water, which is going to be included in a budget amendment. And then I have on here for 2019, originally we expected the wastewater element itself to go into 2019, so I showed that here. But through further discussions with Burns and Mac, and Debbie helped me out more than I can even explain, we will have a budget amendment next council meeting that will cover all what we're expecting to expend with Burns and Mac for this year.
So to be clear, that's $498,000.
Yes.
To deal with both water and sewer.
The structure of the proposal that I'm going to bring is a master services agreement, which is just an authorization for them to provide engineering services. And then each element is broken into a task order. And the reason we did that is, you'll see as we go through it, each individual task has multiple points, and it was going to be hard for us to track both cost and deliverables. So we broke it down into six, well, for water and wastewater, 5 main tasks, and then the 6th with Burns and Mac is going to be for stormwater, which I'll get to at the end. The first task order is the water master plan with a price tag of $126,500. They'll deliver us a hydraulic model of the water distribution system, give us demand projections for 20 years, provide us an assessment of our wells our water supply as it is today, and what it will look like, and where our potential weaknesses might be 20 and 50 years down the road. And then lastly, it'll give us a prioritized list of improvements, capital improvements, so that we know what we need to do in order to meet the demand going forward. Task order 2, I have it as a water sub-element, but it's actually water and wastewater together, is to update our city's technical specifications for construction. Part of that is that they're outdated. The second is we're moving to what's called an owner-supervised program, or what we want to do is an owner-supervised program. And basically what that entails is us following the master plan and providing to MDNR our updated specs, and then every 5 years we'll reapply, show them our updated plan. But it allows us to do those capital improvements that are on that plan without going through their normal clearance processes, which one, costs us quite a bit in fees, and two, holds up projects. And then as far as the rest of the technical specifications, is with grading, asphalt, concrete, transportation elements, we're going to update those internally so that when they bring forth the water and wastewater elements, we can bring forth the rest of those and have a new updated technical specification all at once. Wastewater takes up task orders 3, 4, and 5. What we identified shortly after meeting with Burns and Mack the first time was that we don't have an accurate representation of what our wastewater system looks like today. We don't have accurate elevation data for our manholes. We're missing information about locations of manholes, pipe sizes, a lot of the data that you have to have in order to build this master plan with any kind of confidence. Without that data, the plan is just given to us out of thin air. I mean, it means nothing without the right data.
It means you're pumping a gallon of water 6 times.
Yes.
To get it to the wastewater plant.
So it was a little bit kind of a knockdown for us sitting in that meeting to hear that, because we didn't. It's not something we anticipated as far as a cost for the wastewater master plan. But task order 3 is an update to our GIS model. In this task, they're going to survey every manhole in the city, provide an elevation, a condition assessment, and give us a database for our GIS so that we have that accurate representation of what's out there today. And that we expect it to take 3 to 4 months in the very beginning, and it's $132,000. Task order 4 is the flow monitoring and hydrologic analysis, which means that Burns and Mack will place flow meters in our system and see how it reacts during different events and different times of the year, so that they can build a model based on the data of our system as it functions today. And that's $117,000. That monitoring period will go through, I think, early fall, just depending on how our rain events come along. And then last, task order number 5 is the actual wastewater master plan. And similar to the water master plan, growth projections, prioritized capital improvements, a future location of our next water treatment facility. All of these things we can use to build a system as we go that leads to the next location. That one was $188,000, and I had that marked as 2019 because we expected the deliverable of the water master plan, the final deliverable, to be in early 2019. Hand it over to Mr. Keenan.
Just sewer.
Huh?
Just sewer.
All right, last element is the Parks and Recreation element. Our element is pretty straightforward. First and foremost, we are currently operating off this document, which was produced in 2009 and has served us very well. SAP Design Associates did that work back in 2009. Have nothing but good things to say about it. There's always room for improvement, but that has been our acting guide for the last 10 years in Parks and Recreation development. With that said, it is absolutely ideal to update these every 10 years. This happens to follow that exact thing, which was great. So this, if completed on time, which we will get it completed on time, will be done in February of 19. So that will be the 10-year period exactly. Why update every 10 years? Those are listed for you, but First of all, the opportunity to do this along with a comprehensive plan, to get all those in one big piece is huge. We have a number of projects and goals that we have completed off the 2009 plan. Very proud of that, and hope our citizens are proud of that as well. Anytime we can get another opportunity for community engagement, we are all in. And this, doing all these together, I can only imagine the opportunities for engagement. We can pull in, potentially, we can pull in Parks and Rec engagement for the comp plan and vice versa, which is a huge, huge component of it. Obviously, new parks, I think we've had 3 or 4 new parks since our plan was completed in 2009. New trends, new goals, new vision, new mission, vision, and values. This next one, and I do want to spend a little bit of time on this, could not fall at a better time for us just because of this reason right here alone. We have 2 local quarter sales tax initiatives going to expire in 2022 and 2023 respectively. Those generate approximately, in today's dollars, $1.3 million out of our $3.2 million budget. So 36–37%, whatever that math is, it is imperative that we start working on our message now. And we also get a plan for when we're going to take those taxes to the public. Obviously, we don't want to stack them on top of one another. One of those is designated for aquatics capital improvement sales tax. The other one is generated for general park operations. But the earlier we can get our message out, the earlier we can get this plan in place, we can begin thinking about our timeline along with the rest of the city's sales tax initiatives and when we potentially might want to go to the public. Those, at the same time, expire a lot of debt. The aquatic center debt will expire, the community center debt expire, but we, like everybody else in here, are facing our limitations as far as growth and development. Right now, today, we could use another 3 gyms. Right now, today, we could use another 4 ball fields. But we have debt, and we have to take care of that first. But that's all part of this planning process. Really looking forward to what GRE is going to bring to us for this, and I'll get to them right now. We have ultimately selected Great River Engineering as to be our consultant with this project. And we say to be our consultant project, and I want to liken back to what Garrett said just a minute ago. City staff will be deeply involved in this project as well. We will be right there all the way through working with Great River Engineering. If you remember, Great River Engineering did the Highway 174 trail, produced a good quality product for us. Got to know them a little bit there, and then ultimately, as we went through the process of the proposal interview and that with the project team and our Parks and Recreation staff, felt really comfortable. We got to a point where we were really comfortable with them. The primary reasons were local firm with Republic roots. I think one of their principals is actually from Republic. Felt really good about their progressiveness, about their professionalism, about wanting to do something different, which is those last 2 bullets there. If there's one thing that I hope we've tried to do in the Parks and Recreation here is try to do something different, try to be the next big thing, and we want to stay ahead of the curve. Even in our initial contract meeting with them, which happened a couple of weeks ago, they brought to us 2 or 3 ideas that were already wow ideas, and I was like, hello, we've got the right consultant. So those we're very, very excited. They have a lot of, we had 3 people submit for this. One of their leads on this project will be Journey Jackson. I believe her years of experience is 25 plus just in the field of Parks and Rec. But even beyond her, and to Spencer Jones, who's the Republic resident who actually is a partner in the firm, he's all in on the next big ideas. And I think so much of him already. We're looking forward to working with them. Standard across Parks and Recreation Master Plan is kind of this, and I know Karen spoke to you earlier, which I don't want to read them again. But this is pretty standard. However, you got to go through the standard to get to where you want to be. So, yeah, we do need to appraise our existing resources. I spoke to a minute ago about we are really maxed out. From probably roughly September through April, we're running at about 99% capacity in our indoor venues. And then we go to ball fields. I'm sure our athletic superintendent says he could max out 6 more. But you have to do appraisal of existing resources. Those were 2 were athletics, but those could go far beyond everything we do, community programming and such. Community needs assessment. We think we know as a staff what our community wants, but you never really know if you know, right? We'll run out new programs all the time. We're like, this is going to be the best program ever, and sometimes they don't go so well. But then sometimes you run out of stuff you don't think will go, and they're like, man, this was a home run. You never know what will go. So, love the opportunity for community engagement. We will be present at those meetings. I think it's very important. It's one thing to talk to a consultant, but it's also another thing to talk to Jennifer Mayfield, Chris Arnold. You put the face with the people that we interacting with all the time. From there, you correlate the assessed needs to the resources. If Citizens tell us we want more adult sports. Where are we going to put them at? We got to create a venue to do that. Create the action plan, and then the expenditure analysis, preliminary dollars on what projects will cost. And these will always surprise you. 4-field wagon wheel baseball softball thing, you'll be amazed at how much that actually costs by the time you light it, do the dirt work, do the earth work. It's just tremendously expensive, but it'll help us in our planning stages of, hey, we know 2 years down the road we really want to do this, and there's 2.8 million hanging out there that we really need to get done. And the last component there is the final product. This has to be something, this is one of the areas I think we can definitely improve off this document. This has to be, have all the data and have all the reasons behind the decisions, but it also has to produce presentable images that we can give to our community that would be like, hey, this is what this could potentially look like. One of the things we're batting around is, could we put a giant soccer complex right off of James River, and we'll take on soccer in southwest Missouri. We don't want to limit our scope to anything. Just because someone else is doing it, could we do it better? So there's a million different things to talk about, but we have to let our community needs assessment drive a lot of this as far as what does our community want to see from us. I spoke to that a minute ago, but that's roughly the timetable. We're spreading out this expense over 2 years. We anticipate beginning this contract will be before you next Tuesday. From there, we'll do an immediate kickoff meeting. We think it'll take approximately 11 to 12 months. The end price tag from Great River Engineering is in the ballpark of $56,230. We anticipate about $35,000 of that will be in $18, and the remaining $21,000 will be in $19. But going back to that math of, that's a lot of money. Anytime you spend $56,000 of the citizens' money, that's a lot of money, right? But when you think about the sales tax that are potentially on the line, you spread that out over 10 years, we're talking about $13, $14, $15 million. So you have to get your planning done ahead of time to, just for competency purposes of, hey, here's our plan for spending that money going forward. This is basic, all this is, I talked about previously, but this is the main thing. I want to go back to these last 2 bullets here. We want to continue doing what we're doing already, and that is being on the cutting edge, always looking for the next big thing, be original trendsetters, and be ahead of the curve. That goes back to our mission, vision, and values. But also, this is huge for us. It just starts the foundation for communicating the why for future sales tax initiatives, which are so important to us going forward. So that's it.
And in closing, I just want to talk to you a few more minutes about the comprehensive plan. This is a huge project. It's a really important project for the City of Republic. I'm really excited about the project. The project team is very excited about the project, and there are going to be certain reoccurring themes that you're going to hear all the time. One of them is that this project is truly going to allow us to grow together, and that's one of the fundamental concepts of this project that we will continually try to get out there as our message. One of the other is the project itself is truly a collaborative effort. It's a collaborative effort amongst City Council and the Mayor, the Planning and Zoning Commission, the project team, which consists of a lot of staff, our consultant team, and then the community. And the community is going to play a really important component of this project. The update, again, is going to allow us to figure out what all of that data is out there and allow us to bring all of that together and find out what that cohesive whole is amongst these 3 elements. And it's going to produce that singular public policy document that we can all refer back to when we're looking at development proposals, when we're looking at where are we going to make our next big investments in the city 5 years down the road, and 10 years down the road, and 20 and 30 years down the road. The plan itself is going to represent those long-term visions for the community. So a lot of the things that we're going to ask the community, and we're going to ask you all, what is it that you want to see for our community? Where do you see our community growing? What do you want in the next 5, 10, 15 years down the road? How does that fit in with the data that's coming back, with what we have today, the infrastructure that we have today, what we're capable of doing tomorrow, and how is that all going to fit together to allow us to grow the community together. So again, that growing together, that's one of those messages you're going to continuously hear from me. One of the last things I just want to say is the implementation is also a really important part of this this project. The implementation will come in, it's, 24 months from now, or 18 to 24 months from now, when we start to take that document and decide how we're going to make those investments in our community. But the point is, everything that we do from this point forward, it's going to be consistent with the city's mission, vision, and values, and it's going to allow us to grow together. One of the last things when I was trying to come up with a good vision statement, and the project team and I have been talking about this, I really was trying to find something that would incorporate all of our keywords into one statement that encompasses the project and encompasses the community. So this is something that's just a draft comprehensive plan statement, but this will be, or something similar to this will be the vision statement for the comprehensive plan moving forward. So again, the theme is we are going to grow together. This project is going to allow us to grow together, and it's going to be that collaborative effort that we can all be proud of, and the community can be proud of. Everyone actually that lives, works, and plays in our community. So that's all for presentation. I'd like to open it up to questions. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Our project team will be happy to answer any questions. Andrew and Garrett and Jared will be happy to answer any questions.
Karen, one thing, I completely forgot to mention the stormwater task that we talked about.
We did talk about that.
But one of the items in Garrett's original scope, I think, in the planning side, was a stormwater element. That's something we identified that Burns and Matt could provide. They submitted task order 6, which was about, I think it was $37,900. Stormwater support. And what they're going to look at is our MS4 permit, which is what allows us to do the work we do in the city as far as disturbing ground. They're going to evaluate our ordinances. They're going to look at the possibility of regional detention, which would be places for multiple subdivisions to contribute to their stormwater too. And the last thing was to provide technical specification update recommendations, so that tech spec that I want to bring forward that's going to encompass all of our standards, they're going to provide recommendation for stormwater on that as well.
I got a question.
Sir.
It was said that you're going to have somebody check all the manholes in the city. Does the city know where all the manholes is, or how they going to know where to look for them?
I believe we know where some of them are, and Andrew, you might be better.
We do.
Some's not all, though.
Thankfully, I've got guys like Craig who've been here for forever that have that historical knowledge. But that's one of our parts in this, is to locate those manholes that they can't find that aren't mapped. Some of them will have to be uncovered, but we have a pretty good idea of just about here.
And a part of that probably is really more making sure that all of that information is captured on our GIS system. So we probably know in reality where all of those are out in the field because of our awesome staff, but it may not actually be on our GIS system, so it may not be something that's readily available to everyone.
Right.
But the ones that are covered up, how are they going to find those?
We'll uncover them.
Well, how do you know where they are?
Craig's got an answer for you.
We pretty much know. I'd say, I don't want to say 100%. Well, we're probably, Jason's saying 95. It's been a long time since he's worked. So probably close to 98, 99%. Known locations, they are just buried under asphalt. But as you touched a while ago, it's the technical information that we're seriously lacking. It's the invert elevations, the pipes coming out that we don't have the actual elevation information based on sea level that Vernon, that's going to really need to do a full study on everything.
Well, that was my question. How are they going to find them? Do they have machinery or detectors or
How
what?
are they going to find the manholes?
Yeah.
We already know where 99% of it's at. The rest of them, they won't be hard. Our camera system can find them, our existing maps. If we don't have it out there, if it's not mapped now, it will be found through a simple camera. Most of the manholes are known. The location themselves may just actually be buried underneath dirt.
Well, I know
or
some are
asphalt.
buried.
Yeah, it's
I
inevitable.
say I know some are buried.
Some are sitting out in a field that's been covered up through stormwater and just silt has gone over the top of them. But the key is what they're saying. What the biggest piece of that is that blew me away that we don't have is flow line elevations to even know to tell a developer. We know what the flow line elevation is to how if they develop a piece of property, how they deciding whether to build there because the sewer line can be higher than where they got to develop. Having the flow line elevations is going to be a very expensive trek to get. How many manholes you got, or we have?
Approximately 1,200.
So 1,200 of
2,400.
so not knowing the flow line elevations is a challenge. So
Out there on Boston Lane, the sewer comes out of ground just about at your property line. Were you aware
it comes
of
out.
that?
Shh.
If you kept
It don't run across the ground anywhere.
If you kept digging, you'd know.
Thought that was a pond, didn't you?
Yeah, it's into my pond. Yeah, that's where it comes out.
How about other questions? This is a big project. I know we presented you with a lot of technical data, and it's just a lot of data and information tonight. But we're here to answer any questions that you have tonight. We'll be around until the end of the project, years from now, to answer this question. So don't hesitate to contact myself or our project team with questions.
I think Garrett hit it on the head when he said we're not going to know what the outcome of this for years to come. But when you were talking about sticker shock, what's the sticker shock of not having a plan like this?
Well, I think that speaks to the caution we're using. Yes, I think if you look at the work that this council did, and sorry, Craig, that we did it, but we delayed that I&I piece because we can't keep throwing at a blind dartboard with taxpayer money. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but at the same time, you got to know where you're going. You can't manage what you can't measure. So if you don't know flow line elevations, how do you know which area to target? So we got to go identify what those things are, and we're going to leave it much better for everybody that's got to come along and build on it in the future. We're going to be building on something rather than just keep adding to a system. And yeah, we're growing, and yeah, there's a new business coming to town, and we're adding brand new infrastructure to an infrastructure that we don't know. And so how do you plan for budgeting that? So instead of putting $150,000 into I&I and saying, are we just putting a finger in the dam? This is saying, where is the issues? Where are we looking at it from? And I'll use one prime example for the community to look at from a comprehensive planning perspective, not just the sewer, is if you drive down Hines Street, you got all you want and more in that street. It's too narrow. You got open ditches, no sidewalks, lots of residential. You got drainage. You got a park, and it's a high density area with a lot of traffic. We got a 30-mile-an-hour, no sidewalks or anything. Comprehensive planning is setting where you're going to go, so when you're developing those areas, you say, hey, we got to build a street that's 32 feet back-to-back, curb, sidewalks on both sides. There's going to be a trail here that leads down to Wilson's Creek Battlefield, and so you plan where your tax dollars are going to go rather than react to the next development that comes along. So like the housing that came in the last time, we're like, what do we do with it? We got to somewhere create a plan for how we're going to take care of residential or duplexes or multifamily. And the uneasiness or the uncertainty of that last vote and the last situation we had is because we got to get this comprehensive plan. I want to clarify one statement, not a statement, but one false perception is we don't need the plan for the next 12. I mean, that's a process that'll take place, but it will not stop the growth and the development of the city. We have a pretty good idea of where we're going in a lot of areas, so I don't want to give the impression we don't know where we're going. We got a lot of development going on, and we're guiding that much more appropriately. But where does the next wastewater plant need to go? We need to have that stuff figured out before we run into that problem again. And there's going to be some bold decisions, but how do you create a budget if you don't know what the need is? So I think that what we're going to do is be creating what the actual budget is so we can go to the community. I think Garrett said it best. Or maybe it was Jared said we got to have the why. And right now we're saying, hey, we're growing, but we don't. How do we sustain that growth and what's reasonable? And how do we end up with not having a bunch of Hines streets in town with a lot of development? People say, hey, you need to widen that street. We need sidewalks. It's far more costly to go back and do rework than to plan for it in advance. So I commend the work that Karen and them have done. I appreciate the fact. One thing it's difficult to capture is how much they're wanting to own this project rather than it'd be easy to pay a consultant $170,000 and say, hey, you do all the work, you get it done, and go from there. So I appreciate the work that the staff and everyone's putting into it. I know we've done a lot of meetings and a lot of interviews. Jennifer's been a part of, I've seen a lot of people a lot in these interviews that arrived at these consultants. So we've got a lot of new people, a lot of new faces that are even doing the consulting work for us. I want to be clear, we're not waiting for the comprehensive plan for growth and development. It's already taken off. And so we don't need this necessarily waiting for that for it to happen. We've got stuff happening, but we need to be planned about it, not just reacting to it. So we're playing a little bit of catch up, but we're going to keep continuing to work and growing and developing the community. So thank you. Great job.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns from council?
We're just definitely on the right direction.
Great job by everybody.
Well, we appreciate your support and all the champions that we can get on this project to go out to our community and help get our community involved in this project the better. So that's something that we are definitely advocating for.
Okay.
Good job.
Okay.
Well, at this
Thank
point,
you.
we'll adjourn and we'll come back for our regular meeting at 6:30.
I gotta get rid of this Coca-Zero.